Hello viewers, welcome to Angular 8 tutorial. Today we are at session 13 and going to discuss two-way data binding in this session. I would say please go through my previous tutorial because some of are interrelated and some of are you can correlate with this tutorial. So please go through those tutorial before beginning with this one. Okay, so let's start with one of one form of data binding we do have is called two-way data binding. So earlier we already have discussed a one-way data binding so far, like interpolation, class binding, style binding, event binding. So those comes under one-way data binding. Why? Because one-way data binding only traverse the data from component to view. That means your code behind to your template or the UI basically, whereas the two-way data binding transpose data between in both directions, right? So what it says, your view to component and your component to view. So here you can see, so we have our view here. This is nothing but the web page you are looking at, and component is nothing but the web page is going to interact for all the data manipulation. So data is being loaded to here, that is called your one-way data binding, and from view to component is called two-way data binding. If you can correlate with MVC also, we do have the same thing when we are just using strongly typed data using the model classes. That is all about two-way data binding, because it passes the data from controller to view and view to control. So same concepts also applies here. Okay, so let's start with like okay, so before moving into this one, I just want to show you what is dollar event and why it is required. But let's understand what is single data binding, then two-way data binding. As so far we already have discussed, but let's begin with what is a single binding in a very minimal description. So we will continue with this simple example. So let me create a variable called name of type and a string, and here I'm just going to assign scam dot net. Okay, so this is my value within a variable I do have. I just want to display it by using a text box. Okay, so how to create a text box? So input type, okay, type equal text. Okay, so now I'm going to use the property binding, which is nothing but one form of one-way data binding. So value is that property I want to bind with name. Okay, so let's run this, and okay, so before running I just want to do something for your better understanding. Okay, so let me create 2br quickly. So which will give you a new line over here, and I just want to have one paragraph tag. Okay, so the value in, okay, let me paste here. Yeah, so now the name in text box is the name which is going to appear here and within a bold. So just quickly build it using ngSerf and let's run it. So it started with compilation, and yeah, so this is fine, it is all ready. So as you know, like the default port is localhost 4200. So let's test this output. Okay, so here we have Chrome, and let me just go to the URL localhost colon 4200. Okay, so yeah, so here you can see like we have a text box over here ascam.net, and the value it is showing .net. So let me do something, like I just want to modify something. So here you can observe like this value is not getting changed, which is getting bind from the variable called a name we do have here, right? Okay, so this is not getting changed, guys. So what is two-way data binding? Whenever I am just trying to write or trying to type something, right, it should change. So that is all about a two-way data binding does. So one of alternative we have to perform this two-way data binding without going or without switching to the actually Angular two-way data binding concept. There is a tricky thing we can do using the dollar event or target value. So let me move into the coding part. I just want to make you understand what is dollar event is all about. So dollar event is nothing but it is the Angular component which currently or ongoing deals with the current event. Let's suppose I'm just talking about typing activity or clicking activity. So dollar event will capture all the DOM of the property, and using that property you can get the event, you can get the property name and everything. And to get the value we are using dollar event or target at value, so nothing else, right? So let's move to the code part and we'll see how we can achieve this using dollar event or targeted value. Okay, so what I'm supposed to do here, I just want to modify a little bit. Okay, uh yeah, that's fine. So we have one more property, and I just want to take help of input okay, input property with help of event binding. So this is one input is nothing but it's a event like click, and I just want to just change something. Whenever we are trying to input something it will trigger, nothing else, guys. So that's quite interesting. So what I'm supposed to do here, so dollar, so here you can see I'm just getting dollar event dot. Okay, so target will target to the current DOM element, and value is nothing but from that targeted element what is the current value, which is going to assign it to name. And as you see name is binded here, so just save it and go to the browser and we'll see on action. Okay guys, so here you can see scam.net is coming from the backend. I meant to say like app.component.ts, and whenever I'm just trying to change or modify anything, and here you can see the value is getting changed. Okay, scam dot space again and net. Okay, so the value is getting changed dynamically, but this is something we are trying to achieve using dollar event, and it is currently pointing to the DOM element, and using that target element the property of value we are just doing or we are achieving this thing. But what exactly Angular 2 data binding is all about? So here what I mean to say, two-way data binding in Angular does basically two things. The first one sets a specific element property and listening for an element change event, so nothing else, which sets a element property of DOM and then listening to that element the event is getting triggered. For the example we just saw, input is nothing but a event of element of type input text box, right? So Angular provides a special syntax for two-way data binding. So basically now we are just moving into how the two-way data binding Angular provides with. So this is the syntax, guys. So there is a square braces and which is enclosed with a pair of parentheses. Okay, and this syntax is, you can think of it as a combination of both property binding and event binding. The parenthesis indicates it is event binding, and property binding, as you know, in Angular it can be achieved using a pair of square braces. Okay, so to remember easily, Angular has given a terminology. Just assume a banana in a box with NGModel directive. Okay, so if you will see the previous one, uh, we have this parenthesis, just consider as a banana, and banana is just packed within a you know uh, just a box. Yeah, so that is a nice terminology given by Angular, by the way. Okay, so NGModel, what is NGModel? Okay, it is nothing but it's a directive which is going to help or to support the two-way data binding. We are just going to explore right now. And where does it comes from? So NGModel is a part of one module called forms module, and that we need to make use of. And what are the steps? These are the steps. So first you need to import forms module to root module means here app module.ts using import keyword. And once it is imported, we need to register within import section. So that's it guys, so let's do it and see what is the output. So what I'm supposed to do here, let me go to app module.ts. Okay, so I'm just going to import. Okay, so never to worry about like what I need to write. So what you can do, basically you just put the curly braces, which is the syntax, put a from tag, then single braces, then you just space control space. Okay, so sorry, there is a spelling mistake. Yeah, so here if you will see angular forms. Okay, now if you are going to here and just control space, here you can see all the suggestions we do have, but what we exactly need is called forms module. Okay, yeah, okay, so save it. And as the next step, as you know guys, like we need to just register in your m4 section and register it. So that's it, now we should be able to use this forms model within our template. Okay, so I just want to modify a little bit. So rather than value, I want to have it within the syntax as we discussed. Okay, so ng model. Okay, so ng model, here you can see we have NGModel directive within a pair of parentheses, nothing but your event binding, and that is again enclosed with property binding. So it is a combination of both property and event binding. Okay, and I don't need all these things, simply just delete it and save it. And let's go to the browser. Okay, here just refresh it. Okay, so here again the action is same as dollar event dot target dot value. So using this way you can simply make use of two-way data binding. Why it is required? Whenever you just want to send the data from your UI to your component using some model property, you can have your model created, and using those property simply bind to the control using NGModel. And NGModel directive is being used in angular forms, which is supposed to discuss in next in some of video sessions later on. So angular forms, you can bind it, you can get the data, save it to the database, or through API call. Again we are going to discuss the API call in later stage. Okay, so that is all about how two-way data binding works. So here you can see guys how we have discussed and we have explored two-way data binding. So yeah, so thank you viewers, thanks for watching this video tutorial. And you can visit to my blog where you can get all the text version of my tutorials, and especially to get the text version of this particular session 13. So please visit to skm.net.edu.blogspot.com and so on to get two-way data binding in a text version. Okay, so thanks guys, thanks for watching again. And I just request kindly do subscribe to my channel by just pressing the subscribe, which is coming a right lower corner as watermark. And else you can go to the below section, there is a subscribe button. Can you do subscribe so that you can get the notification wherever there is a posting from my end. So thank you once again. So I will be coming up with my next video tutorial soon. Till then, keep smiling, keep sharing your knowledge with others, and keep learning, because learning never has an end. Thank you.